Hello everybody, this is Step Dog the Prophet again, and this video is going to be about the banking system and taxation in God's kingdom. Okay, first of all, this is what's going to happen with the banking system in God's kingdom. God already has a bank account with PNC Bank here in the United States of America. The Basis Foundation, the bank account that the Basis Foundation has is with PNC Bank. That is ultimately going to be the bank of the world. That is ultimately going to be the bank of the world. Go ahead and try to do something to PNC Bank at this point, considering God already has a bank account with PNC Bank, and watch what happens. But nonetheless, PNC Bank is going to be the bank of the world. And how this is going to work is like this. Basically, God's coming to judge me. And when God comes to judge me, God is going to give me basically the equivalent to what Moses got in Leviticus, and the equivalent to what Muhammad got as well. I forget what the name of the chapter is for that, but nonetheless, I think it's the surah that the laws of the Muslims are in that chapter. But nonetheless, I'm going to be receiving the same thing, pretty much. This is how it's going to work with the banking system. Well, first of all, once everybody becomes aware of God and what God is planning to do, people are going to have to start transferring their bank accounts and everything else over to PNC Bank. Because all of the monetary systems and banking systems and bank accounts and banks and financial institutions and whatnot are going to be dissolved into God's bank account. And then basically, once God has the money supply in God's control, God is going to redistribute it through God's bank account and into PNC Bank and then out into the rest of the world. How is that going to happen? Basically, God is going to give me a trust that is going to be implemented through God's bank account to distribute the money throughout the world. But nonetheless, basically, this is how it's going to work. PNC Bank is going to be the only bank in the world because it's God's bank. There's only going to be there is only going to be the need for one bank, and that's going to be God's bank, because God's going to control the money supply. Now, basically, having said that, the way PNC is going to operate, no fees. You will not be allowed to earn interest, and PNC Bank will not be allowed to charge interest. God will pay the employees and the infrastructure of PNC through the zakat that God collects from everybody, 20%, which I'm going to get into as well. But nonetheless, PNC Bank, that's how it's going to operate. You know what I mean? What you put in is there. What you take out, you take out. There are no fees. There are no nothing. If you want to take a loan, basically God does not charge interest. You will be required to pay back what you borrow. Basically, how it will work is if you miss 3 payments or you're late on 3 payments, you lose your collateral. Real simple. No interest, no fees, no nonsense. Just pay back what you owe. If you miss 3 payments, you lose your collateral. God's banking system is real simple, real fair to every single human being. Nobody gets extra benefits or less benefits or whatnot. It's all the same for everyone. Also, the zakat. The zakat is 20%. Now, at first, since none of us have been paying the zakat, it's 20% of your total net worth. Whatever you are worth as a human being, 20% needs to go to God. Then after that, everything that you earn, 20% goes to God. And that includes businesses too. 20% goes to God. What this does is this guarantees that God's bank account will always have at least 20% of the world's money. Therefore, human beings will never have to worry, well, where are we going to get the money if this happens or that happens? You already know where you're going to get it. It's going to be in God's bank account. God's going to have enough money to run the infrastructure of the world and run it fairly, precisely, and efficiently the way God wants it run. People who work for God are going to be compensated fairly. But that's the way it's going to work. When you earn money, 20% of it goes into the basis. When you spend money, the profit that a company makes on that product for selling that to you, 20% goes into the basis. God will be able to run everything probably on 3% of the whole money of the world. So if God always has 25% of the world's income, or money, well then obviously, even by running the infrastructure, God keeps God's bank account over 20%. And that's the goal. And the fairest, most honest, most caring, considerate, concerning banker is God. God is the greatest banker there could ever be. You don't have to worry about the bank trying to suck the money and the life out of a society or a person or anything by charging ridiculous amounts of interest and all this. That is going to end. And it's interesting that the Jews be doing this after all this time, because Levitical law speaks out against interest. Same thing for the Muslims. Their Sharia law, or whatever you want to call it, speaks out against interest. So there will be no interest in God's kingdom. The 20% tax is the only tax you will ever have to pay. If you buy a house, you pay your 20% tax. You don't owe any property taxes or any continual taxes. It's just 20% that goes to God, so that God's bank account is constantly filled up. And therefore, when there is a dire need, an emergency situation where funding is needed, if God considers it righteous and something that is worthy of God spending money on, you know where the money is. So anyway, that's a little bit about how the banking system is going to be in God's kingdom. So once again, all thanks and praises due to the Basis Foundation. God is most great. None has the right to be worshipped but you. Peace out, and I will be back with more. Thank you.